We're talking to Ms. Greenlee and Mr. Jordan, and the topic is the organization that Mr. Jordan is the founder and CEO, Partners in the Struggle. And of course, Mr. Jordan, I think we promised that we'd give you an opportunity not only to talk about the organization, Partners in the Struggle, but to talk about some of your experiences dealing with this particular organization and what you would like to see happen in terms of making you more effective in doing what you're doing.
Well, first of all, as far as making the organization effective, I think the families whose loved ones have been murdered, they must come out and be active. They must be proactive, they must be vigilant, and they must be steady in keeping the memory alive of their loved ones who've been murdered. And the reason why I say that is you have a lot of families who right now who've been affected by murder within the last 2 weeks.
Okay.
Denise Brown, Mr. Ping at Tennessee State University, his family, and Natalie Madison, who was murdered in living apartments. These are families whose loved ones have been murdered. And now it's time to get out and act on what can we do to stop this murder, the murders, and the gun violence that is so senselessly struck in these families. I think one of the most serious situations that hit me was, when Denise Brown was murdered. 15 years old, was in the prime of her life, and her life was snuffed out. The young man who committed this act, was a young African-American male. And you have two sides of the family who are going to be devastated by the murder, the perpetrator, and the family, which is Denise, who is no longer here. We must unite together and to stop this thing. And it's going to take all of us. It's going to take all of us.
And of course, Ms. Greenlee, you came out and then became a part of the organization Partners in the Struggle as a result of Mr. Jordan. Why don't you talk about how you became involved in this organization?
Well, early on I was saying, I've kind of noticed early on in the early 70s all the violence was going on. It wasn't as serious as it is in the early 2000s, but recently, it had been becoming so potent with me, these killings. And every morning I had, back in the early 2001, I really started noticing how the killings were just getting rapid, and it was my young black kids. All of them out there are really my kids. And I used to wonder, and I used to tell my mom, man, I'm getting where in the morning at 5 o'clock, I don't even want to turn the news on to see what the weather going to be like, so I know how to dress. That's when I would turn the news on, not knowing every time I turn the news on, I'm going to see some young man there that's laying out in the street with a tennis shoe over here because they had their brains shot out. And I used to want to have a son that was really struggling out there with the crime, the drugs, and the fast money lifestyle. And I was trying to let him know about you live that lifestyle, you're going to die that lifestyle. Never knowing that one day I turn the TV on and see would it be my son. But fortunately, December 8th, 2003, I didn't get to turn the TV on that morning at 5 o'clock like I always do. I was awakened out of my sleep from a phone call from my uncle telling me that the son that I didn't want to see on the news was rushed to Vanderbilt Hospital with a gunshot wound to his head, well, to his neck. And that right there itself, it was 2 o'clock, so I had 3 more hours to turn the 5 o'clock news on, and that would have been my devastating moment of my time to click that remote. From that day on, that's where I became partners in the Partners of the Struggle, simply because Brother Earl, he saw that on there, and he said so clear that 12 days before that, he saw me on TV feeding the homeless with my organization, Galaxy Star. And 12 days later, he saw me on there angry about who killed my son. And he got in touch with me, and I said to everyone that knows me, no, if it weren't for Brother Earl Jordan and his organization, I wouldn't be sitting here. I wouldn't have handled this as like I am now. And he have allowed me to voice my opinion. He allowed me to go with him places and tell him how angry I am and why you guys are not angry. Where are everybody? I condone the parents, and now I can say I know what you feel. See, Rodriguez was my only child. I didn't have any more kids to love on, and I know it hurts, and I don't know what the parents are really feeling, but I need some of these parents to get up, come out, and stand up. Now, early on, I did say, If you don't want to speak out, just stand behind me and I'll be your voice. And he know that, and he repeats that a lot to the parents. It don't have to be the mother. It could be an angry auntie, an angry grandmother, or uncle, or granddaddy. I need some more voices standing behind me, because I'm fed up with this, and it's not going to stop. And the police and the media's not going to stop. And I'm not blaming them. I'm just saying, us mothers and us dads and granddads and grandmothers, aunties, we have to stop this. I am really angry about my son, or better yet, my son's murderer is free. You know, he's still running around out there to do that to somebody else, because did nobody step up to the plate to have him convicted? I didn't have enough evidence to have him convicted. I don't know what happened right today.
System failed.
The system failed him. And so that's why I will always be where he asked me to be. You know, I will always speak out and still let them know all of these kids that done got killed after my son. And I just have to say this right quick. Before it was time to come to your show, I went to Greenwood Cemetery to talk to my son. And once I got there, I barely could find his spot, because it's covered with so many. It was not that many spots out there when we went out there December. And I looked and I'm like, oh my God, look at all of these extra kids. And that's all they were, kids. And I just pretty much cried all the way back to the studio.
Just to think of all of those children that are being murdered.
And it's like I couldn't even find my son's spot. It's just a blessing. I took a picture and put on my son's spot when it happened, but it's just the point of I saw all of those graves and flowers, and now one of them 60, 50, of them they were 14, 25, 19, 21. It's scary, and it done got out of hand, and we need some help here. This man had this kind of organization and this kind of time and this kind of heart to support people like us. Show to God we could get up and stand and fight for what he believed in, and help stop some of this homicide.
And not
We're the one can do
not
it.
only the mothers, just anybody who might be in any way connected with those young people, because they left a memory here, and somebody ought to be concerned about that.
I heard a young lady on the radio, 880, and she was saying what we need to do is get our kids back to the dining room table. That means you take that house shoe or that little shoe and you spank them, and you could be the next door neighbor, but it's time for all of us to get back and raising our kids, not just the ones who live in that house, but down the street neighbor needs to step up now.
Very good. And of course, let me take this second commercial break, after which we'll talk about some other things. And we'll be back with you following this second very, very short commercial break. Is Partners in the Struggle.